The Undying Profit had made a fortune off other species' disasters. Captain Bregg ran the finest salvage operation in the outer reaches, 15 crew, 2 cutting rigs, a buyer for everything from navigation cores to hull plating, and a philosophy that had served him well across 20 years of deep space scavenging. Dead ships don't bite. The dreadnought showed up on long-range scanners like a gift from whatever gods looked after opportunists. Massive, easily 4 times the length of anything Bregg had salvaged before, drifting dark and cold at the system's edge. No beacon, no running lights, no drive signature. Just a mountain of metal sitting in the dark, waiting to be found. His scanner operator, Vish, pulled the profile and went quiet for a moment that lasted slightly too long. "Bregg," she said carefully, "it's human." The bridge crew exchanged looks. Bregg felt the familiar calculation run itself, risk versus reward, the same equation he'd been solving his whole career. Human ships were worth more than anything else on the salvage market. The alloys alone would retire him. The weapon systems, if intact, would retire his children. "How cold is it?" he asked. "Reactors dark. No life sign readings. Hull temp matches ambient." Vish pulled up the damage profile. "She's taken a beating. Breach along the port midship, secondary breach near the aft weapons bay. Whatever hit her hard." She paused. "Bregg, she's been dark for at least 6 weeks. There's nobody home." Bregg looked at the dreadnought silhouette on the view screen. Dark, massive, scarred. A dead giant. "Dock us," he said. "We'll start with the bridge." Comment the word salvage to wish them luck. Boarding was easy. Almost too easy. The docking port cycled on emergency power without resistance. The kind of automatic hospitality that confirmed a ship running on its last reserves. Bregg led the team personally. Himself, Vish, his 4 best cutters, and 2 loaders. They moved through the airlock in magnetic boots, torches cutting the dark, and Bregg felt the particular thrill he always felt on a fresh board. The silence, the stillness, the sense of a story interrupted mid-sentence. Human ships felt different from the inside. He'd boarded 2 before, both genuinely dead, and they had a specific quality to their construction. Deliberate, dense, everything built like the engineers had assumed it would eventually need to survive something terrible. The corridors were wide enough for 4 people abreast. The walls were thick enough to stop things Bregg didn't want to think about. Even cold and dark, the ship felt less like a dead vessel and more like a sleeping one. He pushed the thought aside. "Split into 2 teams," he said. "Vish, take 3 cutters to the engine room. I want the drive core assessed. Rest with me to the bridge." They were 40 meters into the ship when the lights came on. Not emergency lighting. Not the flickering half-power glow of a dying reactor kicking back. Full lighting, sudden and complete, every corridor simultaneously, like the ship had simply decided to wake up. The effect was so instant and total that 2 of Bregg's cutters crashed into each other, stumbling backward. Then the ship spoke. "Unauthorized boarding detected." The voice came from everywhere at once, calm, measured, neither threatening nor welcoming, the tone of something stating facts. "You are aboard the UES Dauntless, active commission, United Earth Navy. Please be advised this vessel is not abandoned. Please be further advised that you have approximately 30 seconds to return to your ship before this becomes a conversation you won't enjoy." Bregg's torch hand had gone completely still. "It's automated," one of his cutters said, voice high and tight. "Emergency AI response. There's nobody actually." "Chief Engineer Torres, seal the docking port," the voice said. And then a different voice, human, tired, carrying the particular exhaustion of someone who had been awake too long doing difficult things in the dark, answered from somewhere deep in the ship. "Sealed. You want me to bring the point defense online, Captain?" "Not yet. Let's see if our guests are smart." Bregg's entire body had gone cold in a way that had nothing to do with the ship's temperature. His scanner had read dark, no life signs, ambient hull temperature. He looked at Vish, who was already looking at him with an expression that said she was revising every decision that had led to this moment. 20 seconds, the ship's captain said pleasantly. "I want to be clear, you haven't done anything we can't walk away from yet. We've been running dark for 6 weeks, waiting for the collective patrol that hit us to come back for confirmation. You're not them, so today's your lucky day. But it expires in about 15 seconds, so I'd make a decision." Bregg made a decision. He had never moved through a ship faster in his life. His team hit the docking port in a scrambling, magnetic-booted sprint that sacrificed all dignity for velocity, piling through the airlock in a tangle of limbs and cutting equipment. The moment the last cutter cleared the seal, Bregg hit the emergency release himself and felt the Undying Profit shudder as the clamps blew and the gap between hulls began to grow. He was on his bridge in 90 seconds, hands shaking, pulling them away from the dreadnought at full thrust. The dreadnought's lights were all still on. It made no move to stop them. It made no move at all. Then the human captain's voice came through on open channel, calm and unhurried as a man with nowhere to be. Smart. One word. Then the channel closed. Breg sat in his command chair, breathing carefully, while his crew slowly returned to something resembling normal function around him. Vish pulled up the dreadnought's profile again on the salvage display, the one that had read cold and dark and empty 6 weeks of dead, and stared at it for a long time. How, she finally said. The hull temp matched ambient. The reactor read dark. The life signs were. They wanted it to read that way, Breg said quietly. They've been sitting there for 6 weeks reading like a dead ship. He thought about the patience that required, the discipline. 6 weeks in a damaged dreadnought running silent at the edge of a system waiting in the dark for an enemy fleet to return. They weren't hiding from us. We just wandered into their trap. Vish looked at the shrinking silhouette of the Dauntless on the view screen. What do we do? Breg turned the Undying Profit toward the inner system and pushed the throttle forward. We find a different line of work, he said. Follow and share this story for more sci-fi shorts and drop a comment telling us what you would have done when those lights came on.